Well, we're back in business! Woo, boy, trying to AC/DC, I think I blew my throat out. Anyway, I'm John Retham with my predictions for WrestleMania 37. Both nights, back in business. Two-night event at Raymond James Stadium. Are you excited? I hope so, because I don't think a lot of other people are excited. Actually, the road to WrestleMania, the chode to WrestleMania, the build, has been atrocious. That being said, I think some of the matches will actually steal the show. There could be some potential Match of the Year candidates. Let me know your predictions in the comments, please. So they just added some matches on Raw, because I'm recording this right after Raw. They added two, involving the women, and they changed one around to a tag match, which was probably smart. Anyway, we start off with Dana and Mandy, Naomi and Lana, Natalya and Tamina. Great, having a snooker around all these women. And the Riot Squad members, the only Riot Squad that we recognize, Ruby Riott and Liv Morgan. Tag Team Turmoil match. Number one contenders match, basically. Whoever wins faces Nia and Shayna on night 2. Now, I understand that, New Japan's done this, and sure, wrestling companies have done this shit before. WWE has been incredibly lazy with how they book the women's tag team division. Now, the fact that they have tag titles on NXT, and they have tag titles on the main roster, so to speak, and they barely have enough teams to cover every single, brand, that's not a good thing. They really should just have one set of tag titles going between the 3 brands. I mean, seriously, they don't work that often. They're not going to be touring all that much for the next number of months. It was short-sighted to create more titles, because creating more championships does not solve the problem. Anyway, I have the Riot Squad. I really hope the Riot Squad win, because Ruby and Liv should get the shot on night 2, because realistically, nothing against Natalya. I love Natalya, but Tamina, it's Tamina. I mean, why the fuck would I want to see Tamina get any shot at a championship? Because she spent more time on the bench than she has in the goddamn ring. Naomi and Lana, I love Naomi, but Naomi should get a singles run. Lana, whatever. I mean, they seem to be having fun as a team. Dana and Mandy. Mandy's star has fallen so dramatically since that feud with Sonya. It's actually scary. I think it's fallen all the way to the Earth's core. In fact, I think Godzilla is somehow looking down the hole and saying, "Hi, Kong, how you doing?" If you've seen Godzilla vs. Kong, you get it. If not, you are probably horribly confused by what I just said. The Riot Squad will win. Cesaro vs. Rollins. It's a swingers match. That sounded less dirty in my head. Cesaro will win. I think that this will be pretty good, though. I will say Rollins better come out in gear that doesn't make me want to scratch out my eyeballs, because this whole drip that he's doing... By the way, people come up with really stupid ways to describe style. I don't understand how you kids talk these days. You kids, get off my lawn. If you need me, I'll be in the Angry Dome. Man, I sound so old. Cesaro's going to win. If he doesn't, I will be shocked. I won't be disappointed if Rollins wins. I just think Cesaro needs a quality win at Mania. Rollins has had his victories. So we get Braun versus Shane, a steel cage match where nobody can interfere. It's also the first steel cage match since Mania 2. And I really didn't care much about the Mania 2 match, even though I was 5 years old and was like, oh, there's no way the Hulk Hogan's going to overcome King Kong Bundy, even though I was a naive kid, and Hulk Hogan was going to book his way to beating the big monster. Though, to be fair, that was the best match on the Mania 2 card, which, yeah, it stole the show, but it's kind of petty theft because Mania 2 wasn't good. Anyway, check out my retro reviews of the particular WrestleManias that I did just in this year alone. I think it was about 9. And no, I'm not talking about Mania 9. I'm not going to review that again. God, Shane's going to win, because even though nobody can interfere, I think the Jackson Rectionist, Elias, I think somebody else is going to interfere. And I think that Braun's going to lose. Now, Braun could win. I don't really care if Braun wins. Honestly, I don't give a shit about this feud. I don't think Braun makes a good face, especially now, knowing a lot of the shit that he believes, thinking that various, indie wrestlers need to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and, earn money the good old-fashioned way. Like Braun did when he only worked in WWE. Yeah, kind of opened up his big fat yap when he fucking shouldn't have. He really should, pull his head out of his ass and get a better view on the world. Because some people are struggling, Braun. Not everybody is blessed to be 6'8", 6'9", 300-something pounds and get choo-choo noises as they run around the ring. Watch them do that for the steel cage. So yeah, Shane's going to win somehow. That means that they'll probably have Braun win. I won't care either way. New Day versus Styles and Omos. So that is Xavier and Kofi against Styles and Omos in his first ever match, at least on the main roster for the Raw tag titles. Styles and Omos have to win. They have to. I think that they will work stuff around and Omos will look good, but he's not going to look super impressive. They're going to bounce off him. They're going to be like super balls. And Styles is going to be all happy. He's going to have his buddy or whatever. It's going to be 12 years in AJ. Wow, that was mean. Styles and Omos win. And then Bad Bunny and Damian Priest versus The Miz and Morrison. So it's a good thing they made this a tag match. Not that Bad Bunny hasn't put the passion into trying to, do great things for WWE. He has brought some publicity to them. I will give him that much credit. I'm not a huge fan of celebrities taking up a spot at Mania, but hey, it's better than Logan Paul. Don't worry, I'll get to him in a bit. Bad Bunny and Priest have to win. At least Damian Priest is getting a Mania moment. Now, because at his age, and yes, I don't mean to be ageist, but at 38, I mean, he moves well, but he's probably only got, 4 or 5 years, maybe, that he's going to get some Mania moments. So they're giving him a big moment here. Bad Bunny will probably get the victory. Damian Priest will probably, hit the lights or, do the rectamine. I prefer to call it the rectamine because I'm a mature individual. He'll hit that on Morrison. Miz will get hit with, a frog splash or something, or maybe Bad Bunny will hit him with a punch. I don't know what his finisher is. Bad Bunny and Priest will win. Lashley with MVP versus McIntyre, WWE Championship. Now, Cedric and Shelton were, excommunicated from the Hurt Business after they lost against Drew McIntyre, and they were banned from ringside. And they were banned from ringside as part of the Hurt Business. Now, I'm not saying that they won't just try to stick with it, Shelton and, Cedric are banned from ringside, but they haven't mentioned that since the whole Hurt Business thing got split up. Now, I know that just happened recently. I think it's going to end up being a swerve. They're going to find a way to work around the stipulation. They're going to come, under mask. Gross. That sounded so dirty. And Lashley's going to win. Now, yes, Lashley will win dirty, but Lashley getting a victory over Drew is the right call. I actually sadly expect them to give it to McIntyre and pretty much kill the momentum that Lashley has built. I would keep the title on Lashley until next year's WrestleMania. And I know that's a bit of a long build, and yes, he would have it for a while, but you know what? He deserves it. Drew's been champion a couple times, and he's been a great champion. And Drew maybe going to Smackdown and possibly competing for the Universal Championship would be cool to see. Because I think he's done about everything he can on Raw. Lashley could get some fresh competitors. We could get a draft and everything. We could get some pieces moved around. Maybe you could have Finn Balor come back up and challenge Bobby Lashley, and they could have a better feud than they did for the Intercontinental Championship. Sweet Christ, that was bad. Lashley's going to win. I hope Lashley wins. If he doesn't, I'm not going to be angry, and I'm not going to, throw fire and just say, doll scene. But no, I'm not going to, get upset and want to burn shit to the ground like Poppy and I disagree. This is going to just be disappointing if Lashley doesn't win. Anyway, we then get Sasha versus Bianca for the SmackDown Women's Championship, where it's supposed to be the main event. I'm going to say right now that these two women, based on ability alone, do deserve to main event. As far as the build for most of these matches has been terrible. Absolutely terrible. Having it where Bianca and Sasha weren't cutting vicious promos for a while, doing the unlikely teaming up and everything and all that shit, and the bad build they've done has done the women no favors. That's not their fault. They deserve a big Mania moment. And I would like to see these two main event. I just wish the build was better. And since it will be a shorter Mania, hopefully the crowd that is there, however big or small the crowd is, will be invested and will, cheer on Lashley, cheer on Lashley, hopefully, but they'll cheer on Sasha and Bianca, and hopefully they get their, they get their moment and they do main event. Because I think it would be a disservice if the women didn't main event, but it's just terrible that the build hasn't been that great. Now, night 2, this isn't going to take very long. Nia and Shayna versus the Riot Squad. The Riot Squad have to win. Just get the titles off of Nia and Shayna. Put Shayna back in the Raw Women's title picture. Or put her on SmackDown and have her face Sasha. I don't care. Just get Shayna away from Nia. Nia is damaged goods. She can't even move. Reginald, this whole thing with Reginald has not worked, and he can actually move, but just have the Riot Squad win. Riddle versus Sheamus. U.S. title. I fear Riddle is going to win. I will pick Sheamus. I want Sheamus to basically beat him in 17 seconds and just destroy him. Beat him in one less second than it took to beat Daniel Bryan and win the U.S. title and carry on. Because let's be honest, Riddle, while he is good in the ring, is not very interesting as U.S. champion. This is my opinion. So anyway, Owens versus Zayn with Logan Paul. Okay, so we're getting Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn. El Generico versus Kevin Steen. Ring of Honor revival in Raymond James Stadium. And they just couldn't let us have something without involving a guy that filmed a body, a dead body in a forest. And no, I'm not going to forget that, and nobody should forget that, because there are certain things you can forget and you can chalk up to youth. Sure, people can say racist shit and they can apologize for it, they can grow, and they can get better and realize that is a toxic way to feel and a toxic way to think, and change how they feel, brother. But unfortunately, Hogan didn't. Speaking of which, Hogan and Titus, I expect a lot of awkward exchanges, that is. Anyway, I do not think that involving Logan Paul is a good thing to do. I don't know how comfortable Zayn is. I mean, it's his business. And Owens, I can't imagine Owens is too happy. All they had to do was have these two guys clash, and I think the match will be good, but involving Logan Paul is a really bad idea. Sure, it's not involving Jake Paul, but seriously, shit salad or shit sandwich. Which one do you fucking want? How about neither? How about you just torch him inside an active volcano? Hopefully, this just leads to them both beating the shit out of Logan Paul afterwards, but Owens is going to win. I got Kevin Owens winning. Anyway, Big E versus Apollo in a Nigerian drum fight for the IC title. I really want to hear Hogan try to say this one. I really want to hear him say this and just see him sweat bullets to resist saying the word that he wants to say, because he ain't apologized for what he goddamn said. He just says, be careful what you said on camera. And I'm not going to forget that, because nobody should fucking forget. Poor Titus. Poor goddamn Titus. He's winning the Warrior Award for last year's Hall of Fame class, which is a good thing. Give it to Shad Gaspard for 2021. At least that's what I would do. Man died a hero. And it's terrible that he passed away, and it's just terrible. Absolutely terrible. You know, the fact that it's a Warrior Award and it's named after, you know, somebody that was a goddamn piece of shit is terrible, but at least they can do good things with it. Apollo's going to win. If he doesn't win his own drum fight, and I don't know what the hell this means, are they going to be battling on like a scaffold and whoever falls on the drum first loses? Is it going to be like Donkey Kong where like they're going to bounce off the drums and stuff like that? Is there going to be giant bees down there where, oh no, it's going to be the brutal thing where you got to fly through the honeycomb, me one honeycomb, and you got to do that. And man, I hated that goddamn level. The Donkey Kong country games were so hard. Apollo Crews is going to win the Nigerian drum fight. That's basically what I got to say. And then The Fiend with Alexa versus Orton. I don't care if it's cinematic. I don't care if it's in the ring. I don't care about this feud. I also think that The Fiend will win. And if this is not cinematic, if this is anything like their Mania 33 match, the fans are going to shit all over it. I mean, some fans are shit all over it anyway. Fiend's going to win. Please, for the love of God, end this feud. It just, why? Why is this continued? To me, this has not been an interesting story. If you guys like it, that's fine. The Fiend's going to win. I don't care. Asuka versus Rhea, Raw Women's Championship. Rhea's going to win. It's a shame that they didn't have more of a build to this, like maybe have Rhea come up right after Elimination Chamber, or maybe right after the Rumble, and just have her build that and say, hey, I came runner-up. Hey, Asuka, how about I earn this shot? And maybe you put, Rhea in the Elimination Chamber, and you have that happen. I mean, granted, it would have been, 3 Elimination Chamber matches in one evening, but hell, it would have been better than some of the other shit we got. Rhea's going to win. They're just going to need to give her a dominant run until at least SummerSlam. But I'm amazed they didn't try to shoehorn Charlotte in there. I know she had that scare where she thought she was pregnant. She wasn't. Bad diagnosis by that doctor. Hopefully Charlotte has beaten the virus that, she apparently got it. Apparently she was going to be cleared in a few days. But she's taking time off. Honest to God, I don't think Charlotte is needed at Mania going forward. I don't think she's needed at next year's Mania. I think her and Andrade are going to start a family pretty soon. Really, all the best to them. It would get Charlotte out of the picture. It would get Charlotte and Andrade having a family. And hey, maybe the women's division could grow, because it hasn't really been able to with Charlotte. Rhea's going to get the victory. They really did a disservice to Asuka here. Even though she's had a long run, it has not been a very good run. She has not defended the title on pay-per-view since she faces Zelina Vega. That is how long ago it's been. That is sad. So yeah, Rhea's going to win. Roman with Heyman versus Edge versus Bryan. 3-way for the Universal title. Roman Reigns is going to win. I'm not that confident. They could give it to Daniel Bryan. I wouldn't complain. I wouldn't even complain if Edge won. But I think Edge is going to be like the odd man out. I think Roman Reigns is going to get the victory. And then I think what you could do is you could slot Drew over after he loses to Lashley. You could have Drew maybe beat Roman at Money in the Bank or something like that. And since they're still going to do the Money in the Bank cash-in, you have somebody else cash in on Drew. Because Drew just cannot have a long title reign, and you build something for a chase for SummerSlam. Maybe Edge wins it and then becomes the ultimate opportunist and wins Money in the Bank for a second time. He technically only won the briefcase from Mr. Kennedy. He didn't win the Money in the Bank ladder match, so it doesn't fucking count. It's only a 2-time winner. Anyway, at least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So I have Roman Reigns winning without a lot of confidence. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritland. I'll see you soon.